This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week. This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
When it comes to conspiracies, I want to say this. Conspiracy and incompetency roll together pretty well. And they both look very, very similar. I'm going to go with incompetency on this. I hope that that's what it is. But I hope we do get an honest investigation into this. And God forbid there be somebody who was just kind of playing this lax because they didn't like his politics. That's a very scary place for us to be.
It really is, because everyone in federal law enforcement holds up their hand and they take a very serious oath. And that oath is not defined by color, creed, race, politics, or anything else. It's to serve and to protect. And God forbid, as you said. But I'll tell you another thing that a lot of people are finding concerning, and that was the number of females on this particular detail. And I was stunned to see it. Because if you look at the membership in the Secret Service, and remember, the Secret Service has multiple responsibilities, right? Counterfeiting. Mm-hmm. They have social security, credit card fraud. Mm-hmm. And then their primary, though, is their protection details. But if you look at the number of Secret Service agents and compare that to the number of females, and then you look at the number of females that were on this detail, which I counted 4, mm-hmm. 2 in his immediate circle. As a 6'4" man, it was a little surprising to me. And this is not to say that women don't have a place on security details. They could serve a lot of roles that men can't. Sure. We can get into small places, crawl spaces, attic spaces. We can go unnoticed because we're female. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things a woman, as long as you meet all the requirements and can shoot and are good at tactics and have been good in your training, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to serve. But let's be real. If I have a 6'4" candidate or political figure protectee that I'm supposed to protect, I'm probably, if I'm the on-scene commander, not going to put a 5'3" woman on him. That's just me.
Yeah, it's just logistics. It's all it is. I mean, look, if he was 4'5", sure, that might more sense. But you're going to want a basketball type stature individual in that sort of detail just because of physical logistics. The decision of who chooses who's going to be on what detail, is that up to the director of that specific event that is going on, or how is that chosen?
Typically, it is the on-scene commander, so it's the person that's in charge of that overall protection detail. And I don't want to sound hypocritical, because anybody who knows me knows I'm about 5'1", and people know Comey is 6'7", and mm-hmm. I was on his detail. Mm-hmm. But I had specific assignments, such as I did the advance. Mm-hmm. I drove his limousine. Mm-hmm. I was an armed person behind him. I opened the door. I was very seldom on the part of the detail that would have shrouded him.
Sure.
That was responsible for, because, I would have had him from about the knees down. Sure. I mean, he's a tall man. Mm-hmm. But also carry into that, I do believe, though, that no matter whether you're a man or a woman, are you going to keep your head about you in this situation and do the right thing and not turn tail and run? Because when bullets are flying, you're really tested. You could do this all day long with paintballs in practice, but what happens when bullets are flying? And I can tell you, different people respond differently. And so I was proud to see the woman on his detail did do everything she could to shroud him, to get him to duck, and put her life totally disregard her life for his safety. But then I saw one of the other women right there up on the stage, confused. What do we do now? I think she said. Mm-hmm. Don't hold me to the exact quote, but it was something like that. Where are we doing? What are we doing? You don't want that.
Yeah.
So whether you're male or female. So, and then it begs the question, were the most competent people on this detail, because whether you like Trump or not, everyone hates him. And surely the Secret Service had to consider him one of the number one most volatile targets that they would protect.
I would think. I mean, you're going to have that level. I mean, volatile with anyone on this presidential election ticket or any of the tickets that their number one target for crazy people like this I don't know. I mean, if it comes down to, well, we kind of put, the B team on here today. There is no B team day for people like this, especially in this environment. Maybe when he's 90 something and he's not in any sort of political office or running. Okay, you got B team, but this is not that time. And
quite frankly, the B team needs to go handle credit card fraud.
Yeah. This was. Let me ask you one more thing about that day, because there's been some criticism saying they let him stand up. There's obviously that now famous image of him with his fist raised and he's shouting "fight." Should that have been allowed to happen? And it's not a political statement of I don't want that to happen if I don't agree with his politics, but how did he do that? How did no one keep him down? I mean, he was in another before we knew that there wasn't another shooter. We knew the one shooter was down, but we didn't really know if there was somebody else out there with something like this. Should he have been kept down, or was this just kind of how it went? Maybe he pushed his way out through them in the fog of the war of what was going on at that moment. How did he do that?
Okay, I can explain that. So protectees, they're not as pliable as you might think. Mm-hmm. They're going to do what they want to do. They act spontaneously. You're doing the best to make your bubble around them, really the human shield. You're also have your head on a swivel to the point that you're making sure that the immediate threats aren't coming at him. I mean, somebody could have jumped out of the crowd as an example and attacked. Nobody really knew it was happening so quick. The other thing is, in other words, people can do quick motions like that, and you're trying to control him. He's a 6'4" guy. He's taller than I think anybody on the stage. So, how long did that take? A second, 2 seconds? Mm-hmm. It was quick. The other thing is, he is in his late 70s. I mean, to get somebody to crouch, just think of, grandparents that are in their late 70s, 80s, mm-hmm. and that stature to crouch down low and crawl, it's difficult for a nimble person in their 30s.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of, physicality things, I think, going on there that resulted in what we saw.
Fascinating to hear your perspective on this and kind of a behind the curtain look. There's obviously going to be a lot of investigating going into this. It'll be fascinating to see what we find out in the coming weeks and months.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.